Hello students, welcome to our chemistry class. Okay, tell me, after air, what do you think which is most essential in our life? So I think everybody's answer is that water. After air, water is most essential for our life, for all living beings. Today we will discuss in detail about water. The formula for water is H2O. All of you are familiar with this, that one molecule of water is consisted of hydrogen and oxygen. Now next is that water is most essential thing after air on earth for all living beings. 4/5 of the earth's surface is covered with water and 70% of our body weight is due to water. Now, what are the various uses of water? It is used for our day-to-day life, that is for drinking, for washing utensils, washing clothes, washing vegetables, and it is even very useful for various life processes like digestion, respiration, excretion. For all these processes, water is must. In the field of agriculture, even water is very important because many soluble minerals are present within the water, which is absorbed through root by the plants, and even water help in acts as a solvent for pesticides and insecticides. Then it is very important to generate electricity. You know, hydroelectricity, where water is used to generate electricity, and forceful water, with the help of water the dynamo moved and electricity is generated. Then even in thermoelectric power plant, the water is converted to the steam to rotate dynamo, and dynamo help to generate electricity with the help of generator. In industries, most of the industries like alcohol industries, electroplating industry, then jute fiber industry, cotton industry, dyes industry, they require water. Many chemicals are prepared with the help of hydrogen and oxygen, which is generated from water, like hydrochloric acid, nitric acid, sodium hydroxide, ammonia. All these are prepared with the help of hydrogen and oxygen, which is obtained from water. Then in the field of medicine, the distilled water which is used in the laboratory and in the medical field for injecting, so, and even for transportation, like ship, to transport, for the transportation of ship, water is very important. So in this way, water is useful for living, all living being, and for many industrial purposes. Next is that water occurs in the free state as well as in the combined state. We will discuss about the occurrence of water. Water occurs in the free state as well as in the combined state. In the free state, water occurs in the solid state in the form of ice, snow, frost, etc. And in liquid state, it is present on the surface of the earth in the form of river water, lake water, sea water, etc. Below the surface of the earth, it is present as well water, spring water, and above the surface of the earth, it is present as dew. And water is even present in the gaseous state as water vapor, cloud, mist, fog, etc. Then water is even present in the combined state, like within the body of all living being, whether it is plant or animal, water is present. And water is present in the combined state within the hydrated salts like hydrated copper sulfate, washing soda, etc. Now, water cycle. All of you are familiar with the water cycle. Water from the surface of the earth evaporates, goes to atmosphere, forms cloud and then precipitate in the form of rain, and that is known as water cycle. Next is about the composition of the water. We will discuss about composition of water. Ancient philosophers believed that water is an element. But after that, Henry Cavendish synthesized water from its elements by burning 2 volumes of hydrogen with 1 volume of oxygen. After that, the scientist Lavoisier showed that water is a compound of hydrogen and oxygen atoms combined in the ratio 2:1. It means he has shown that water consists of hydrogen and oxygen and they combine together in the ratio of 2:1 and produce water. Water is a compound. Now, why water is considered as a compound? First thing is that a compound is formed when 2 or more elements combined chemically in a fixed proportion by weight. Water also consists of hydrogen and oxygen. They combined chemically, means when hydrogen is burned in presence of oxygen, then it will produce water. And here hydrogen and oxygen combined chemically in a fixed proportion, means when 8 part by weight of oxygen combined with 1 part by weight of hydrogen, then it produces 1 molecule of water. Then it produces water. Second thing is that whenever a compound is formed, the constituents cannot retain their properties. Like in case of water also, water consists of hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen and oxygen cannot retain their property within the water. Water has new set of property. Hydrogen, it is a combustible gas. Oxygen is supporter of combustion, while water is liquid at room temperature and it extinguishes the fire. So hydrogen, a gaseous substance, oxygen, a gaseous substance at room temperature. One is supporter of combustion, oxygen that is, and one is combustible in nature. But water is liquid at room temperature and it extinguishes the fire. It means water has new set of property compared to hydrogen and oxygen. So water is a compound. Next is that in case of compounds, the components cannot be separated by physical means. They can only be separated by chemical means. In case of water also, what happens? That hydrogen and oxygen cannot be separated from each other by any physical means, that is neither by hammering, nor by filtration, nor by any other physical means. However, the constituents of water can be separated by electrochemical means, that is through electrolysis of water. So here water, the components is separated by only chemical means, that means water is a compound. The next is that water has formula, that is H2O, and we know that on compounds has formula. Mixture don't have formula. Water has also formula, that is H2O. So water is a compound. So all these points proves that water is a compound. Next, there are two different types of water. One is the natural water, another is treated water. Water obtained from the nature directly, that is from the rainwater, river water, sea water, ocean water, etc. They are the source of natural water. And the natural water which is treated by some man-made process before putting into any particular use, then that water is known as the treated water. For example, distilled water. Distilled water is the treated water. It is the purest form of water. How it is obtained? When water is converted into the steam or gaseous state and then condensed back into the water form, then whatever the water is obtained, that is the purest form of water. It won't contain any soluble or insoluble impurities. So that water is known as distilled water. And next treated water is the potable water. Water fit for drinking, that is known as the potable water. Since it won't contain any suspended impurities or any dissolved impurities or any kind of germs or bacteria, it is safely used for human consumption, and this water is known as potable water. So distilled water and potable water are the treated water. Next, we will discuss about the physical properties of water. First, can you say water has some color, or do you get any kind of smell from the pure water, or any taste from pure water? No. Water is colorless, it is odorless, and even tasteless. You will say no, we get some kind of taste within the water. The taste within a water is presence of due to some dissolved gases or dissolved salt. If no dissolved gas or salt is there within the water, then water is actually tasteless. Second is that the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius at 1 atmospheric pressure. Means water converts from liquid state to gaseous state at 100 degrees Celsius at 1 atmospheric pressure. Why the pressure is mentioned here, 1 atmospheric pressure? Because if the pressure increases, boiling point of the water increases. And if impurities are present in the water, then also the boiling point of the water increases. You know that food cooks faster within the pressure cooker. Why? Because within the pressure cooker, the water which is converted into the steam form exert pressure on the water, and that is why the boiling point of water increases within the pressure cooker, and that's why the food cooks faster within the pressure cooker. This proves that due to increase of pressure, the boiling point of water increases. If any kind of impurity like pure water is there, which will boil at 100 degrees Celsius, but if you will add little bit salt to the water, then it will boil at a higher temperature compared to 100 degrees Celsius. Next is that freezing point of water is 0 degrees Celsius at 1 atmospheric pressure. Means water converted from liquid state to solid state at 0 degrees Celsius. But if any kind of impurity is present within the water or pressure is applied, then the freezing point of water decreases. Next is that density of water is maximum at 4 degrees Celsius. This is due to anomalous expansion of water. We know that any substance when it is heated, it expands, and when the temperature is decreases, then it contracts. By lowering the temperature, the substance contracts. By increasing the temperature, the substance expands. But in case of water below 4 degree, on decreasing the temperature below 4 degree, instead of contracting, water expands. Since the water expands, it means the volume increases, and we know density is what? Density is mass per unit volume. Since volume increases, mass is constant, that is why the density decreases. So the density of ice is less than that of the water, and it floats on the surface of water, and density of water is maximum at 4 degrees Celsius. Next is that specific heat capacity. Latent heat of vaporization value and latent heat of fusion value for water is very high. Specific heat capacity for water is maximum. What is a specific heat capacity? Specific heat capacity is the amount of heat required to raise 1 gram of water through 1 degree Celsius. Whatever the heat is required to increase the temperature of water by 1 degree Celsius, and how much amount of water? 1 gram of water, or unit mass of water, that is 1 gram or maybe 1 kilogram. So that is known as the specific heat capacity. And latent heat of vaporization is the amount of heat required to convert unit mass of a substance from liquid state to gaseous state at a fixed temperature, that is without rise or fall of temperature. That is known as the latent heat of vaporization. The latent heat, specific latent heat of vaporization for water is, the value for specific latent heat of vaporization for water is 540 calorie per gram. 540 calorie per gram. And specific latent heat of fusion, what is that? To convert water into the ice. Whatever the heat is required at constant temperature, that is known as latent heat of fusion. And for unit mass, to convert unit mass of a substance from liquid state to solid state at constant temperature, that is without change of temperature, whatever the heat is required, that is known as specific latent heat of fusion. The specific latent heat of fusion for water is 80 calorie per gram. 80 calorie, the value is 80 calorie per gram. It means 1 gram of water to convert into 1 gram of ice at 0 degrees Celsius require 80 calorie of heat. And specific heat capacity for water is 1 calorie per gram per degree Celsius. Next is that pure water is a bad conductor of heat as well as bad conductor of electricity. Means neither it will conduct electricity nor it will conduct heat. Pure water. Now next is water is a universal solvent. Water is a universal solvent means it can dissolve almost all the substance. Almost all the substances are soluble in water. Actually, water is a polar covalent compound and it has high dielectric constant, and its high dielectric constant is there which help in dissolution of almost all ionic compounds. Since water can dissolve almost all the substance, that is why water is known as universal solvent. Now we will discuss about the importance of presence of dissolved salt in tap water. Have you ever observed that whenever a bowl filled with tap water, and when you will keep it on a burner, the whole water, the whole amount of water evaporates out, and after that leaves white colored residue within the water. It means tap water contain dissolved salt. And this dissolved salt, what is the importance of this dissolved salt? The thing is that it provides specific taste to water and provide necessary minerals to our body. And deficiency of these minerals causes several diseases. Like calcium, deficiency of calcium causes ricket. Iron deficiency causes the disease, that is anemia. And dissolved salt and excess micronutrients help the plants in their growth and development. So in this way, dissolved salts in water provide a specific taste to water and provide necessary minerals to our body. Deficiency of these minerals causes several diseases, and dissolved salt and excess micronutrients help the plants in their growth and development. Next is the importance of dissolved gases in water. Mainly the oxygen and carbon dioxide present in water help the aquatic plants and aquatic animals. Oxygen present in water help in respiration to aquatic plants and animals, as well as oxygen kill germs and bacteria present in water, thus it acts as water purifier. And carbon dioxide gas present in water, means dissolved carbon dioxide, help in photosynthesis to the aquatic plants. And even dissolved carbon dioxide help in formation of calcareous cell in water animals. Why? Because the calcium carbonate, which is insoluble in water, but in presence of carbon dioxide it is converted into the calcium bicarbonate, and which is soluble and which help in formation of calcareous cell in to water animals. So this is all about the physical properties, occurrence of the water, and in the next class we will discuss about the solution in detail.